Hey guys, welcome into the 14. I'm Nick Cole, and we're breaking down each SEC football game in Week 13 from a betting perspective. Today, we're talking about the Georgia Bulldogs visiting the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. This game is going to be played on Saturday, November 27th at noon Eastern Time at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. This will be broadcast on ABC. From a betting perspective, Georgia opened as a 34-point favorite in this game. And as of the recording of this video, the line has moved to Georgia minus 35. The over-under on the game opened at 54.5 and has held firm. I'll bring in our betting analyst, Christopher Smith. Christopher, this is one of the more lopsided matchups between these two schools in recent memory.
Yeah, I actually think this will be a super thrilling, exciting game for bettors, maybe at the end. But yeah, it'll be another interesting game. We've talked in the other videos about motivation, and that's definitely something to handicap for both of these teams in this game. So maybe kind of a tough handicap here as Georgia gets ready for the SEC title game. But why don't you let us know about the weather forecast, the key injuries we're looking at, and Nick's news and notes?
Sure. So let's start with the weather for Saturday afternoon in Atlanta. We should have temperatures in the 50s at kickoff, no rain in the forecast, and the wind should be between 5 and 10 miles an hour. On the injury side of things, Georgia has a lengthy list as they have all season. I'll run through some of the names to look at as Saturday's game approaches. We've got Arian Smith, Tyke Smith, Adam Anderson, Tresman Marshall, Ryan Davis, Jalen Kimber, and Tate Ratledge all out for this game. Star wide receiver George Pickens, who's missed up until now, has been practicing with the team but has not yet been cleared as of the recording of this video. That would be a huge boost to get him back in time for the championship game and the potential playoff appearance. Other players to monitor going into this game are Dominic Blaylock, Kendall Milton, Jamari Sawyer, Nolan Smith, and Chris Smith. On the Georgia Tech side of things, offensive lineman Kenny Cooper missed the last two games for the Jackets, and it's unclear if he'll return against Georgia. News and notes for this one. Georgia is in search of regular season perfection. Week 12 was a layup against Charleston Southern on senior day at Sanford Stadium. And so they're looking to finish out in a rivalry game that usually would be one that Georgia fans are sweating. They have some history of losing games to Georgia Tech that they probably shouldn't, but I'm not sure that this is the case. This is, a team that we were looking at a 35-point favorite. Georgia Tech's only won 3 games. This is the first time since 1982 that the Bulldogs entered this game 11-0. And they look to become the 4th team in school history to finish the regular season undefeated. So a lot on the line for Georgia in the sense that finishing off, this is like that last hurdle to clear before the SEC championship game to keep that perfect season in line that everybody's got their fingers crossed. It'll be the first time since 1980 that they do the unthinkable, right? And so this is just that last check box in the regular season. Georgia Tech, on the other hand, is really stumbling into this game. I mentioned that they've only won 3 games in year 3 of Jeff Collins' tenure. And that's sort of, I would call it unacceptable. You give him that first couple of years to get out of the Paul Johnson option offense, and there's some major overhauling of systems and recruiting that needs to take place. And, you saw some progress of that over times of that first year, but you look at them, they've lost 5 consecutive games here in year 3, and their last win came October 9th against Duke. Most recently, they were on the receiving end of a 55-0 thrashing at Notre Dame in week 12. And if they thought the Irish defense was tough, just wait until they see what the Dogs have in store for them. And the last thing I'll mention before I hand off to you, Christopher, is just that we're bringing back the clean old-fashioned hate. I'm really glad to see that. After last year, COVID kept that from being played. And now we're looking at a series where Georgia has a 68-39-5 all-time lead, and it has won they've won 10 consecutive meetings in Atlanta dating back to 2001, and they've won 3 in a row just overall. So given their recent dominance, given the fact that they're the much better team, and then given the fact that we've got a 5-touchdown line, Christopher, how do we make sense of making a smart bet on this game?
Yeah, well, Nick, I know that you've kind of dabbled in some live total betting in the last few weeks of the season, and this may actually be a good spot for that. Let's start with the fact that Georgia Tech is dead last in EPA per snap in terms of their pass defense. And they're 82nd in yards per carry allowed on the ground, and they're 128th in opponent passer rating allowed. So I know Georgia is not always super eager to throw the football, but the Bulldogs are actually 76th on the ground in EPA per snap and 4th through the air. So, Kirby Smart may not attempt to pass in the second half of this game as they get ready for the SEC title game, at least not unless it's third and super long and it's not close to the end of the game. And in a game where Georgia could be just totally on coast mode in the second half, if the Bulldogs are going to cover, it's probably going to be because they hit some explosive plays in the first half against a Georgia Tech pass defense that's totally susceptible to that. And with a Georgia pass offense that has quietly been pretty explosive whenever they have tried to throw the ball. So, I mean, if they beat Georgia Tech at all by 1 point, then they're in the college football playoff. But the number one seed could be especially important this year. The fourth is almost like a bye almost with whoever gets the fourth seed potentially this year. And so I think next week's game against Alabama is actually important for Georgia, even if they win this one and even if they know they're going to be in the field. So their attention is definitely not on this game. So the thing that I was circling back to now about the live betting thing is that, Georgia could definitely put up some explosive plays in the first half and score very quickly. But in the second half against a Georgia Tech defense that's a little bit better against the run, with a Georgia offense that may not be interested at all in throwing the ball and trying to run out the clock more so, that may be another time where at halftime it could be good for a live under. But the Bulldogs are just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 games. They just crushed spreads the first half of the season. And despite that kind of 2-4 mark in the last 6, they're still a plus 92.5 in aggregate against the final spread, which is tied with Baylor for best in the country. Really what that tells me is that odds makers and the betting market, the bettors themselves have sort of finally caught up to Georgia in terms of valuing them properly. So there was value on Georgia throughout the first half of the season. And now there's not any sort of macro value on Georgia. It's more of a game by game thing. So Nick, do you have anything fun for our loyal listeners out there on this Thanksgiving weekend? And how are you betting on this game?
Yeah, so I sure do. Actually, we've got a rivalry week special here with our partner, Action 24/7 Sportsbook, that could double the amount of money they have to bet here on some of these games. So for new customers, at a limited time only, if you can get your deposit matched 100% up to $800. So sign up today and make your first deposit using the code SOUTH14. Again, that's SOUTH14. And Action will double your money up to $800. Download the app or visit action247.com to get started. Action 24/7 is by Tennesseans for Tennesseans. You've got Action. And so, Christopher, when I look at this one and try to make a smart, educated bet, I have a hard time in a rivalry game, even with the team, the home team being a 35-point dog, even with the clear discrepancy in the talent on the field right now for these teams. I don't think I can put this game on my card because I'd be too anxious sweating whether Georgia Tech found a way to score their second touchdown down 38 points or something like that late in the fourth quarter. So for me, I think I'm going to stay away from it with my real money. But for the purposes of making a pick, I'm going to take Georgia Tech plus 35. Like I said, I know Georgia is the best team in the country and they should win this game outright pretty comfortably. But I think Georgia Tech's got enough pride with a bowl game out of sight. This kind of is their bowl game, right? And so I think they're going to try to finish strong. And part of that may be keeping it within 35 points. I would say if I were picking the total on this game, I'm going to go over 54.5 simply because I think that Georgia can get most of the way there by themselves. And so even though I'm picking Georgia Tech, I think the script I'm looking for here is maybe like a 45-14 type of game where Georgia Tech covers and I hit that over 54.5. How are you seeing this one?
Yeah, it is a tough one, as we've both talked about already in this video, to handicap, but I'm taking Georgia minus 35 simply because I think the Bulldogs could get that, cover that spread and more in the first half alone. And I'll take the over 54.5 for the same reasons. I expect Georgia to score a lot in the first half, but probably not going to make my card. Again, now that I'm thinking about it, not only might it be a decent bet to take the under live around the end of the second quarter, but it may actually not be bad to take the Georgia first half team total over if you get access to that at your sportsbook that you like to use. But I'll take Georgia minus 35. Nick will take Georgia plus 35 just to keep it interesting for the purposes of our record keeping. But for Nick Cole, I'm Christopher Smith for the 14, and we'll talk to you soon.